In this video, I wanted to talk about template components in Golang and your full stack Golang apps, right? So if you guys have ever worked with Vue or React or Svelte, etc., any kind of modern JavaScript framework, you would be used of the concept of components, right? Where you have a component, it's reusable, you can pass in some properties into it, and then that will render onto the page with your props, right? And you might be now looking into Go and wanting to build full stack Go applications because that seems to be quite popular at the moment, and you might want to try and recreate that concept, right? And that's exactly what I've done with this project here, right? So currently building a little new startup type thing project, right? Where people can sign up for a profile with their kind of experience, a bio about themselves, their working preference if they're remote, hybrid, or they work in an office, etc., right? Now, as you can see, obviously, this is a form and it has inputs on it. Now, in a full stack app, there's nothing worse than copying and pasting HTML everywhere, right? It would be really nice to have a single piece of code that I can just reuse, change the name, change the the form label, etc., right? And that's exactly what I've done here. So let me go over that code for you, right? So like I say, this is just a full stack Go project. And if I jump to partials, so any kind of file here with com in the name is a component, right? So this is what a component looks like, or how I built this to look like. So you define a component like this, right? So you have, I'm sure you're familiar with HTML template in Go, right? So you just simply define a new template in Go. So this is a new template, and you need to make sure you have this part here, which means taking the actual properties from the template above, right? So the one that's actually calling this template. And you can define, so in Go, in the standard library HTML templating package, you can do some really cool stuff that I think a lot of people miss how powerful it actually is. So you can define like variables in templates, so like I'm doing here with labels and name, etc. You can call functions, so like printf, and there's lots of other functions. You can also pass in functions, right, into your templates. But anyway, that's another video probably. So what this component here does is it takes in all of the possible fields you need for a input in this application, right? So your placeholder, your name, your value, and ID. And it also does some programmatic stuff. So like here, the ID is set programmatically based on the name you passed in. And then as you can see, we have our input with our classes on it. I'm actually using Tailwind in this project as well to make things a little bit easier for me styling wise. So yeah, this is kind of how a component works, right? So I'm just setting the name, the type, the values, all based on those variables above, which is the exact same concept as like a React component or a Svelte component in JavaScript and how you would do that, right? So let's now show you how I actually use this. So I've got this engineer profile create template, and as you can see, I have these the usage of that component, right? So you simply call the template function, the name of your template, which in my case was input, and then I have a function which I have defined in template funcs, ironically, which is called with com data. So all it simply does is it takes in pairs. So if I go back to the template, you can see these are the pairs, right? So these are the variables that component defines. So type, name, placeholder, label, etc. And all this function here does is it just makes sure, first you've actually passed in pairs, because obviously if you haven't passed in a pair, it's an invalid component. You need to have a key and you need to have a value, right? And what this part here does is I just instantiate a new map. So a map of string, which would be the key, and then the value of anything, because obviously I might be passing in an integer, I might be passing in a string, etc. And again, we just divide those pairs by 2 here, which is the length, because we want it all in a single map, right, as a key and a value. Yeah, so here again, basically just setting up the com data map, populating that, and then I just go and return the com data. So this is now used here, right? So all I'm doing is returning these fields that I'm passing into this with com data function, and then that way I can use them within the input one. So what this has allowed me to do is build a whole form really easily, just based on inputs in reusable components, right? So types, name, placeholder. So that way, anytime I want to build a form on this full stack application, I can just reuse these existing components, and it makes life really simple for me, right? Same with this alert one I've got up here, and also you have more complicated ones like selects and another select here, right? Where again, I've just got some simple utility functions passed into the template. First one here being template map, which is a similar thing to the component one I just showed you. And then this template slice one, which just returns a slice itself, right? So this is because options, obviously in a select, you need a slice of options. So if I just kind of show you what that looks like now, you can see obviously you can iterate through options in your template file and then optionally render your actual options on the template. So that's pretty much it really. This is probably quite a broad overview, and I'll try and throw some kind of example of this in the description if you want to try and recreate this for yourself. But that is templates in Golang. So yeah, or components in Golang, right? So yeah, like I say, hopefully it's helped you out. If it has, drop a like on the video, and I'll see you all in the next one.